Liz from Caravan Insurance. Whether you're a caravanning beginner or an old hand, there's always something new to learn. In this video we'll share some top caravanning and towing tips so you can avoid making some common mistakes which can sometimes lead to a costly caravan insurance claim. We're here at Loudon's Leisure World and we're joined by Fliss, the trailer lady, an experienced caravanner and towing instructor. As with any journey with a caravan in tow, preparation is key. We start with checking your towing vehicle and caravan before heading off.
My top tips when you're heading off with a caravan in tow is to make sure that you have loaded and nose weighted that caravan correctly. It will guarantee a more stable tow on the road. My next tip, and this covers quite a lot of things actually, is to have a checklist. Because if you've got a checklist, you've got no reason to then forget something vital. And it could be something like taking a wheel lock off or removing the rollers from the motor mover. I'd also make sure that when you're hitching up that you do a rewind or a stress test. So that is, once you've coupled to the car, you rewind the jockey wheel and it raises the back of the car. That then confirms that that will not detach when you're out on the road, or you have campsite shame and the caravan falls off as you go over the last speed bump when you're leaving site. So my top tips when you're out towing the caravan on the road is to make sure firstly that your mirrors are set right. You need to be able to see 4 meters out and 20 meters back with your towing mirrors. You don't need to be able to see a lot of caravan and you don't need to see the roof of the caravan. It's more important you can see vehicles coming up alongside you. When you're out on the road, a few things to remember is that you are now double, if not treble the length of a solo vehicle. So you need to double or treble all your actions. Your stopping distances are going to increase. You need double or treble the time to merge onto a roundabout or pull out from a junction. When you're on a roundabout, for example, and this is my favourite phrase, is when you're going to head on a roundabout, drive on the pizza crust. If you imagine that roundabout is a pizza, driving on the crust will keep that caravan neatly within the white lines and you won't cause a problem to any motorists on your right-hand side. The other phrase I like to use is straight and late. Keep straight, turn late. There's a common misconception that when you're towing, if you are, let's say, turning left, the misconception is that you should move out to the right before turning left. This will create excessive tail swing on the caravan. So the easiest way to resolve this is to stay straight for longer and turn later into that junction or gateway that you're going into. I also like to use the phrase slow to flow. So you approach something slowly enough so that all the traffic in front of you clears out the way and it gives you time to then assess the situation, make a good decision and then proceed out of that junction or onto that roundabout without coming to a complete stop. It helps with momentum, keeps you calmer, keeps the passengers in comfort because you're not stop-starting all the time. So a big concern for a caravanner is encountering a snaking situation. Now, there's a lot of things that can contribute to a snaking situation. One of the big ones can be wind displacement. So if you're being overtaken by a high-sided vehicle, you feel like you've been knocked about by that vehicle, and that's the wind displacement doing that. The top tip from me is to reduce that by firstly moving away from that overtaking vehicle. So if we're on the motorway, let's just move towards the hard shoulder a little bit, not onto it but just towards it. And the second one is to make sure you are pulling. Everybody watches a lorry starting to overtake them and they go, oh, if I slow down a little bit, that lorry is going to get past me quicker and can come in front of me. But actually the moment you come off that gas pedal, you're making that whole unit quite unstable. So make sure you are pulling, not racing, but pulling as that lorry's overtaking you. So my sort of overarching sort of message really when you're towing is to enjoy it. It's not scary, it's not difficult. It just requires a little bit more planning and anticipation. Your holiday is going to start from the moment you leave the drive or your storage yard. So don't dread the tow. Try and stay calm and relaxed, keep 2 hands on the wheel and just pay attention to what's going on around you. My top tips for when arriving on a campsite actually start before you get there. Check your booking information or the website of the campsite, and they will give you advice as the best approach route and things to watch out for. Once you're on site, a lot of campsites now have electric barriers. There's a lot of posts and markers. You've got pitch markers and also decoration, trees, shrubs, pot plants, etc. And you may not be used to that towing with a caravan. When you're on site, keep the speed really slow. Not only have you got all those obstacles I've just mentioned, but you've also got people, families, children, dogs. So be mindful of a lot of pedestrian traffic as well. When you're negotiating round a campsite, sometimes the roadways can be quite narrow. So I always recommend that if you are trying to do a tight left turn, that you actually hug the left-hand side of that roadway before you take that turn. Use the straight and late analogy, and that will take you around that corner and minimise the tail swing on the caravan that could be a problem too. Some decoration or even another pitched caravan or parked motorhome that could be on that other side. A lot of people forget when going over a speed bump how many axles they now have. They'll always get the car over nice and slow and steady and then start to accelerate before the caravan has come over the bump. So I always recommend that you count the axles. If you've got a single axle caravan, obviously it's 3. If you've got a double axle caravan, you might hear a double bump as it goes over. If it's an elongated speed bump, you need to count the axles going onto the speed bump, but also coming off the other side. Not only is it just a bit more pleasant for you as the driver, but also everything you've packed into that caravan will remain where you packed it. My top tip for when you're reversing onto your pitch is to actually do a pitch inspection before you even attempt the manoeuvre. So get out of the vehicle, have a look at the pitch, look where there are any posts or bollards, look where the electrical stand is, check for any overhanging branches. Also make sure you've got enough room to actually swing the car round to put that caravan onto the pitch. If in any doubt at any stage, don't ever see it as a sign of failure to actually use the motor mover to get that caravan safely onto its pitch. And if you do use your motor mover, it helps you be inch perfect on your pitch. It makes applying security devices much easier, and it can assist you with the levelling. So if you have been able to reverse your caravan onto the pitch, you need to remember that your last manoeuvre is always a pull forward. The purpose of doing the pull forward is to decompress the hitch and re-engage the brakes. But what you can also do at the same time is actually pull up the levelling ramp and or align your wheel ready for the wheel lock. So it's one manoeuvre, but it's actually satisfying several jobs that you need to do when you get onto pitch. A common issue people encounter when they're trying to uncouple their car and caravan is that they can't actually get the caravan off the tow ball and it feels stuck. All it needs is for you in the car to just nudge forward and back, tiny amount, and what that will do is just release that hitch for you, and you'll be then able to raise the caravan hitch away from the tow bar. When you've uncoupled the car and moved it out of the way, make sure you go round and put on all the security devices that you have declared to your insurance company. My top tips for putting your caravan away into a storage yard is to use the motor mover where possible. If you've got a motor mover, you're going to be able to see all 4 corners of that caravan as it's coming back onto its pitch. I recommend standing behind the caravan so you can see the path that it's going to be taking to make sure it's not a problem to other units that are parked alongside you. If you haven't got a motor mover and your caravan is light enough, consider pushing it into the pitch. If you have someone to help you, they can be using a handle at the back of the caravan, you're at the front of the caravan, you've got that all-round observation as you're manoeuvring on that storage yard. The only time I would say to use the car is if you've got a nice big pitch and also if you've got the opportunity to do a straight line reverse into your storage bay. If you're storing your caravan at home, there's a lot more things in the surrounding area. Your garden, your plants, the garage door, the hanging baskets, the guttering. So I would actually recommend using a motor mover for this exercise. And top tip, nose it in. If you nose the caravan up to the garage door, up to the hedge or the fence, you're making it harder to steal. So whether you're storing your caravan in a storage yard or on your driveway, make sure you leave it with the nose wound right the way down. So by lowering the nose of the caravan into the little cutouts that's on the bottom of the jockey wheel, you are going to allow for water to run off the roof. You're also going to make it a little bit harder to steal, and it will stop any sort of lateral movement in the wind. Make sure you fit all your security devices that you've declared on your insurance policy, and have a checklist of all the things that you need to do inside the van so that you can leave your pride and joy safe and sound in its storage spot.
So there you go, some fantastic tips from an expert for towing a caravan and avoiding a bump, knock or scrape along the way. A huge thank you to Fliss for her top tips, and don't forget, a towing course is a great way to brush up on your towing skills, increase your confidence, or if you're a beginner, getting to know the basics. For those new to caravanning, a towing course can get you an introductory, no claims discount with Caravan Guard insurance. We hope you found this video useful and that you enjoy lots of trouble-free towing. Thanks for watching and happy caravanning.